Cuomo of C Finlandia.
Man, I really wish there was some relation, all of us being from Queens. It'd be great.
I mean, eventually you'd get to some sort of common ancestor, right? No?
Yeah. I think I just want like maybe the money aspect of it.
We are on the internet, guys.
Yeah, I told
Are we
us
on the internet?
Hi, internet.
We're now streaming live.
Hello, internet. I don't see it streaming yet. Is it just me?
It's
Maybe. Yeah, we're on.
We're on? We're starting. Well, hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us on this lovely Thursday evening. I am Gina Cuomo. I'm the Director of Operations at Denver Film. And, you know, I had this crazy little idea a few weeks ago of getting together some of my programmer friends from across the country to talk about our favorite films. And tonight we're going to talk about our desert island picks. So I think we're going to go around and do a little intro real quick so everyone knows who everyone is. Barack, let's start with you.
Hey, I'm Barack Epstein from the Texas Theater in Dallas, Texas. And if you're watching this on our YouTube page. And I'm coming to you live from the Texas Theater projection room. This is the 1931 projection room that has not changed too much, other than these projectors are slightly newer than the ones that were here in 1931. I would actually pick this up and point it to some of the old projectors, but I feel like I would disconnect us from the internet, which is bad. So I'm not going to do that. Mark, talk to us.
Tell us what?
Who are you?
Oh, me. Oh, my name is Mark Anastasia. I'm the Director of Special Programming at the Coolidge Corner Theater in beautiful Brookline, Massachusetts, which is surrounded by the city of Boston, but never incorporated. I run a midnight film series at the theater amongst all my other duties called The Coolidge After Midnight, which is primarily a genre film series, but I help out with the repertory programming for every other signature program at the Coolidge, and we have many of those, and I'm looking forward to talking with friends about our desert island picks, which I think this is a different thing than favorite films, right? These are desert island.
This is different.
A little different.
Yeah,
It could be some crossover, I feel like.
I feel like I didn't pick my favorite films. I just picked the ones that I could watch endlessly.
On repeat.
I think that's what this is.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
Which could also be your favorite movies. So
there is a little crossover. Yeah.
Yeah.
True. But it's nice to be here.
All right, Keith, what you got? Who are you? Ooh.
Hello, everyone. I'm Keith Garcia, Artistic Director of the C Film Center in lovely, beautiful Denver, Colorado. We are part of Denver Film. I've been with Denver Film for what feels like 85 years.
Roughly.
Just doing everything from programming our little film center to founding Cinema Q, our city's LGBTQ film festival, and a score of a million film stuff. Sure. But yeah, I'm ready to get into this little fantasy task tonight. So excited to see what everyone else has got too.
Gene, Keith and KJ, you can rename your thing so we can give you a nifty lower third. What's your theater name if you can?
Uh-huh.
Oh.
Watch out.
There we go. Well, hi, I'm KJ Relth. I'm a film programmer with the UCLA Film and Television Archive. During normal times, we program films at the Billy Wilder Theater at the Hammer Museum. And I'm also an adjunct professor in the film video department at CalArts, where I teach a couple of classes. That was weird going online halfway through a semester. Anyway, we're done now, which is great. And I'm really excited to talk about this because I specifically didn't pick films that I've watched a million times because they're in my head already. I don't need to bring them with me to a desert island. So I picked films that I have seen a lot and that I love, but that I want to watch more of on repeat.
That is awesome. Before we jump into our top movie or your top movies, no one's going to know mine because no one cares about mine. I just want to state that we all know each other through the Arthouse convergence and or through film festivals, and we've known each other a very long time. And without Arthouse convergence, a lot of us wouldn't have met. And Arthouse convergence lets us stay in communication throughout the year, especially during this really crappy coronavirus time where we're all shut down and need help and guidance on what to do next. We have each other's backs, and it's just really great to have that. I don't know where I would be without it. And through that, there has been this grant, the Arthouse America, that was also in part with Janus and Criterion that I think most of us here got, and we're so grateful. Much thanks to Arthouse Convergence, especially Allison Krasberg, who spearheaded it. We're just over the moon to even be part of it and get that grant. It was a large help, and just wanted to shout that out real quick. So
I think it's a huge thing. That's how we know each other, and that's how we're getting these initiatives done. And the organization of the people like Allison getting stuff like that done is massive behind the scenes. Coordinating that, hundreds of thousands of dollars given out to all these movie theaters across the country. It was huge to be a beneficiary, even on a very small amount. And I can't even imagine how that was handled on a national level on a campaign like that. So props to her for making that happen.
Yeah. Cheers.
Cheers.
All right.
Woo.
Can we talk about Tenet?
Way to go, Keith.
Sorry.
Oh yeah, do you want to talk about that real quick?
Well, before we do our thing, I was just curious. So, is anybody going to try to watch this Tenet trailer on Fortnite later, or what? How do you Fortnite? Somebody
How
tell
does
me.
one Fortnite?
How does one Fortnite? I think that's a whole separate panel on how the hell you Fortnite.
I mean, you have to own the game.
I was gonna. Should I go to like Funko Land after this is over? What do we do?
I don't know.
Can we just
You're
watch
talking to
someone's
the wrong
Twitch
team.
stream? Does that work too? I don't know.
I mean, I'm sure people will be showing it on their Twitch streams. Yeah, that's probably a good workaround.
But the whole point was that I guess in the game there is a drive-in in the game, and everyone will go to the drive-in in the game and watch it. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's pretty dope.
That's what I've been told. We're living in the future, man.
None of us know how Fortnite works.
This is.
I don't know.
I mean, I'm sure people will be showing it on there.
I apparently don't even know how to say the name of the movie properly.
It's true.
So
And God damn it, I love you for it.
I'm saying Tanae, but
You're fancy. You are fancy, Keith, and own it.
I mean, we're trying to show this movie. Everyone's trying to do pop-up drive-ins right now. So do we need to look at real estate listings in Fortnite and pick up some land there to have screenings, or what do we need to do?
I think we need to build drive-ins in Animal Crossing on our islands there.
Oh, yeah.
And then
Something else I just can't understand.
Speaking of islands.
Yeah.
Good.
Get your whole damn island there.
Speaking of islands, I think we should get into our first picks. Yeah?
Yeah.
All right. Barack, what's your first pick for your desert island film?
My first pick, this is my pick, is Phantom of the Paradise. And this is a movie that I'm obsessed with for a bunch of different reasons.
Push play. I can see all your other picks.
Ah!
Well, I blew it.
You wanted informal. Now you got informal.
Now I got it. Is that so bad? I discovered if you keynote, you can't full screen. And if you full screen, then you lose everything else. Let me try. Should we try to full screen? Screw it. Phantom of the Paradise, Brian De Palma, 1974. It was actually shot in Dallas, Texas. And it was shot at the Majestic Theater, which is a sort of a it wasn't associated with the Texas Theater. It was one of the original downtown movie palaces, and then built in 1921. And we actually do our program. We do all the movie programming at the Majestic Theater through the Texas Theater currently to this day, even though they're closed right now. And we were able to show Phantom of the Paradise there with Jessica Harper in attendance a couple of years ago for our Oak Cliff Film Festival. It was a huge deal for us to be able to actually show Phantom of the Paradise at the Majestic Theater where it was done. So for a lot of local reasons, I love the movie, but also it's just like, it's such a rewatchable movie. I'm embarrassed to say it wasn't like my favorite movie since I was 9. I only discovered the movie maybe 10 years ago. And the night that I watched it 2 more times. I was like, how do I not know this movie? Because it's just so much fun and so rewatchable. And I don't feel like De Palma was ever even operating at that level of just like fun ever again or before it, to be honest. I like De Palma, but De Palma never took it to that level other than Phantom of the Paradise. You guys like this movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, love it.
I also came to it late too and was like, man, I wish this was my Rocky Horror Picture Show.
It's
Like
totally
I wish
my
I'd
Rocky
seen it when I
Horror.
was a teenager.
No, because I'm not a Rocky Horror guy at all. Yeah, this is by far my Rocky Horror. And apparently there's a place, I think it's in Winnipeg, if I'm not mistaken, where they've taken it as their movie, their official Rocky Horror, and they have like Phantom of the Paradise conventions, and they all dress up, and it's basically like Rocky Horror, but it's Phantom of the Paradise, and it's a big deal. So that's my pick.
Cool.
Great. Mark, you're up.
Pick number 5 for me is a film known as Predator. I'm a big Predator fan. This is a John McTiernan film who has recently been disgraced and gone to jail for lying to the FBI. But those things are not selling points of the movie.
No biggie.
Yeah, he's bankrupt now. But he's made what is like commonly accepted as a perfect film in the movie Die Hard, which he would make a year later. But Predator, for my money, is the Schwarzenegger McTiernan movie. Features one of the greatest movie monsters of all time. And I figure if I'm on a desert island and there might be some jungle on that island, that this would be a very fun, immersive experience to watch Predator and be fearful of something lurking in the palm trees.
I feel like it's a how-to movie when you're in the desert.
How to survive in the jungle.
Survive in the jungle. I would
Yeah.
want to have. You're right. I should have picked Predator too. That's a good one.
Absolutely. This is a film that when it's on, whenever it's on, I will watch it and quote it, and not just quote it, not even the quote worthy lines. I mean, like every line of the film I will repeat, not even repeat, like say before it happens. So my number 5 pick is Predator.
Mark, I feel like given your personality, knowing you a few years, that you're kind of a character that would exist in Predator, like one of the soldiers.
Oh, thank you, Keith. I hope
And maybe one of the most accurate statements ever said.
Really?
Ever.
Like one of the quippy, fun soldiers. Unfortunately, you'd probably get like your head blown off.
I was just gonna ask, how far do I make it?
Good middle way. You definitely win.
Yeah.
You win the heart of the audience, but
thank you, Keith. Yeah, I feel like a middle of the way sort of guy.
Well, so hey, Mark, can I ask you? When that new one came out a couple years ago that Shane Black was involved with.
The Predator.
Yeah, I was so excited about it because I felt like they were going to get it right. They were going to get all these reboots or whatever you call them right.
Yeah.
I was so bummed that it sucked so bad.
Yeah, it wasn't great. I didn't see it until home video. I mean, I own a copy of it. It's right over there. But that wasn't I thought that Predators, plural.
100%.
That was the better.
The one that he produced. Yeah,
that was the better follow-up. But I do dig Shane Black quite a bit. like if it wasn't going to be Predator, it was almost The Last Boy Scout as my number 5.
But also, like, because Fred Dekker wrote it, and I was like, Fred Dekker is going to get a movie credit in 2017. I'm in.
Yeah. I mean, well, he and Fred did Monster Squad, which
I know.
I've got that poster on my wall here. I'm unplugging and turning around.
Monster
Bam.
Squad, Night of the Creeps, RoboCop 3.
Oh boy.
Excellent stuff. Okay,
Brad Keith, you're up.
that's my 2 minutes.
All right, my choice for number 5 is John Waters' Hairspray. I'm sure it's backwards. Is it backwards in this view? John Waters' Hairspray, not the musical remake Hairspray, which when you mention Hairspray today, that's what all the kids do. Is they're like, oh yeah, I love Zac Efron in that movie. And you're like, no, no, go back about 15 years. I came to John Waters young and with Pink Flamingos, and worked my way through his fun crass stuff, and just kind of like feeling part of that family. Like I definitely felt like, Divine was my mom in that essence of like, just every role she played, no matter how nasty or weird, like I was just like, this is it. This is the world I want to live in. And then when we got to Hairspray, the fact that it's so soft and sweet, yet so at the same time, because I'm sure he got a ribbon for seeming kind of Hollywood compared to the rest of his stuff, but it's so accurate to the time and so political still. I mean, there's so many things about racism that are in this movie that, for Lord's sake, we still have to deal with today. But at least he does it in a way that's, I don't know, it's got a lot of heart. It's got a lot of weird hairspray riddled heart. And so there you go. I love that.
Love it. KJ.
Okay, so my pick, and again, yeah, these aren't really in order necessarily, but sort of. Allison Anders, Gas, Food, Lodging. So I love Fairuza Balk. I mean, I loved The Craft. I was a huge The Craft kid. And I also love Ione Skye. We just showed River's Edge really recently, like less than a year ago. We have a 35mm print of it. And Ione came to the screening, and she's just so sweet. And I also love Jacob Vargas. I was obsessed with Selena when I was a kid, and he's in that movie. And I also love Allison Anders. I was really lucky. She was a professor at UC Santa Barbara. She's like a professor emeritus now, I think. So she can't be fired. She's just there like eternally. And she teaches this great class called Music and Film that she's been teaching since at least the early aughts. Yeah, I mean, the score is amazing. It's wall to wall Jay Mascis from Dinosaur Jr., one of my favorite bands. And it's special to me, not just because of these personal reasons, but also because of like who Fairuza Balk is in this movie. Jacob Vargas calls her the movie girl. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's me. And she goes to watch movies alone in her local theater. It's also set in the desert, which as a Southern California girl, I'm just like obsessed with the desert, and I feel the most at home there. I just think it's the perfect 90s indie movie. And it's also rentable. I did note where all of these are available. This is rentable for around $3 on various platforms. So if you haven't seen this, Gas, Food, Lodging, highly recommend. It's a total fave.
Awesome. Yeah, and if any of you guys have platforms that these are available on, make sure to mention them.
Where do we mention that?
You can mention them. You can just say them.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah, just Mark, use your mouth and your words. I can also type it in on the YouTube chat.
Yeah,
because I've got that open. So yeah, all right. We ready for our second round? Barack, give us something good.
Okay, I'm not gonna bring back up my screen because apparently I do have
Spoiler alert.
Come on.
some of these. I'm going to talk about Street Trash, which is another movie that I would just watch on repeat. I grew up in the trauma school of film watching and filmmaking, and when I was in high school and early college, And for whatever, I actually worked for Trauma for a minute. And for whatever reason, I remember everyone at Trauma really was talking not well about street trash. And I wasn't sure why. I heard some just chatter, banter, and I was like, what is this street trash we're always talking about? I come to find out later, it was mostly because street trash, everyone assumed was a Trauma film, and it was not. It was sort of distributed elsewhere. Maybe they tried to get it, who knows why. But it is definitely the best Trauma movie Trauma never distributed. A lot of people talk about, the best Martin Scorsese movie Martin Scorsese never made. This is the best Lloyd Kaufman movie Lloyd Kaufman never directed. It was directed by a guy named Jim Muro, who only directed one movie. He directed Street Trash. But then later became the A-list Hollywood Steadicam operator. And you'll be able to tell when you watch this for about 30 seconds, you'll be like, the Steadicam in this is insane. How did this guy do it? He ended up being James Cameron. He shot the Abyss, pretty much. He pretty much shot the Abyss. And he ended up working for Fincher. I mean, look at the guy's credits. They're insane of cinematography. And for years and years, there wasn't a good version of it. There was bad VHSs. And the first couple DVDs of it did not have a commentary by Muro, and it was assumed that he was distancing himself from his early splattergore years because he was working for Jim Cameron now. But he later on, this is one of those movies like Evil Dead 2, where every 6 months they'll go ahead and release it now because it's a thing now. They're like, it's the splatter version, and it's got more splatters on the cover. They do that. Mark's probably got 6 copies of this at home.
I do, yeah, I'm a fan.
All the different copies. But eventually, Muro did talk on one of the commentaries, and he did like the movie, and he talks all about it. And I guess I just couldn't get a hold of him because he was such a big shot. We showed this at the Texas Theater on 35 millimeter a few years ago, and I actually got the print from the producer and the co-writer Roy Frumkes, who still lives in like Manhattan, New York City, and he had the print in his garage, and he's like, I'm not leaving my house to go to FedEx. I'm not taking the print anywhere. You got to send a courier to my house and make sure he asks for the print, and he'll pick it up, make sure he comes into my house. He can go to the closet. He gave me very
heavy.
And that's how we got it. And then we Skyped with him and we showed it on these projectors.
Right.
And again, yeah, so I think I probably talked for more than 2 minutes, but Street Trash.
Barack, when you accidentally showed us your movies, the only other one I saw was Street Trash, and I just had my boyfriend go and find this for me.
Yes.
Yes.
I wore it this morning to a Pilates class, like a Pilates Zoom class. But my boyfriend is a horror nut. He runs a horror outfit here called Friday Night Frights. So he has all the horror t-shirts. This is my one and only horror t-shirt because I love this movie so much.
And you wore it this morning to Pilates, is that what you said?
Yep. Yeah.
That is perfect. I love it so much.
This particular DVD, which is an older version, did come with a sticker for Viper, which is the beverage that makes you melt.
Yeah.
So what you buy this, and you affix this to your hooch as necessary, and then you drink your own Viper.
Speaking of Viper, I have a quick Street Trash story. When we played Roy's print of Street Trash, which we had to have somebody pick up in New York and drive to Boston, the box office staff at the theater made their own Tenafly Viper solution using soda and hot water and salt and honey and all sorts of disgusting shit. And we put bottles of it and labeled them as Tenafly Viper on stage. And we asked people to come up, and we had a competition to see who could get through a bottle of this swill the fastest. And I was actually horrified in how quickly people drank this saltwater cola solution. But luckily there was no illness involved, but Street Trash is a great film. Thanks, Brock.
By the way, Street Trash is available to watch on Shudder.
Oh, thanks, Keith.
Wonderful. All right, Mark, what's your next film? If you say Sister Act, I'm going to freak out because I was wearing my Sister Act t-shirt this morning. Just saying.
Oh, yeah. No, let's see. My number 4 film would be, and I ran out of DVD. Well, I didn't run out of DVDs. I just have weirder stuff at my house. So this is, my number 4 film would be An American Werewolf in London. and I've got this Fangoria copy from the month and year that I was born. This is July 1981 Fangoria. American Werewolf in London is probably my favorite horror film. I think it's a perfect film. I think that it's as funny as it is horrifying, as it is human. I love that there's a love story involved and it doesn't feel forced. It seems very natural. And then the special effects makeup is absolutely insane. Rick Baker won the first ever Academy Award for special effects makeup for his werewolf transformation on this film. And it's a movie that I can watch anytime, anywhere, and I love it very much. So my number 4 is American Werewolf in London.
Beautiful.
That's it. I'm keeping it short. I'm keeping it
I
tight.
like it.
I yield my time to Keith.
Oh, well, all
Well,
right.
American Werewolf in London is available on Cinemax Go,
Thank you, Keith.
or you can rent it on Amazon Prime and Vudu. My number 4, I may have to say this was the film that made me realize this is the film that made me realize that I was a young homosexual. Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. I saw this film in 1987 in the theaters, probably about 12 times. Paid my own money, which I think admission at the time was like $3. And I don't think I've known a more quotable, at least to me. I still use bon mots that she says in this movie in my everyday chats with people. I have definitely told people, oh, my name's Keith, but you can call me tonight. A few times, amongst many other gems that are featured in Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. I grew up with her as one of my television hosts. Elvira, Joe Bob Briggs, anyone who was doing USA Up All Night, Rhonda Shear, all of those folks were my just guides through these just crazy, wild films. And you know, as a young boy, you'd think I was drawn to her décolletage here, but that was at least as a young gay, the entrance point to being like, who is this sassy lady with the big boobs? And it turned into so much more. So I've seen this movie with Elvira in attendance once. Took a trip to San Francisco for Peaches Christ's Midnight Mass, probably like 10, 12 years ago, where she did a Q&A afterwards. As Elvira, got a photograph with her, which was lovely. And, I'm just happy that Elvira's still kicking, even though she's technically retired. If you check on Instagram, she's basically resurrected Elvira to get us through the quarantine. So God bless her. And this film is available on many places, including Shudder, Tubi for free. It's included in Hulu. It's on Prime. So there's no excuse for you not to watch it.
What did you say, Tubi? What is Tubi?
Oh my God, you don't know about Tubi?
Oh my God.
Tubi. Go to it. It's available on most smart TVs. It's free. You just have to watch like 4 commercials during your movie. But it's curated so perfectly. I love it.
It's amazing. I'm finding such good shit on there. The quality is iffy sometimes, but usually better than Amazon Prime. If it's like a PD title or something. Did you know that they got bought by Fox? I'm a little worried about this. Fox purchased them. I don't know what that means. I think they just wanted to buy the library because it's a great library.
Yeah.
Keith, we showed the film just a few months ago. The print was kind of hard to get. Wait a minute. Did I get the print from UCLA? I got. Is it your KJ? Is it your print that we showed?
Maybe, I don't know.
I remember I got it was like on a mini tour, and it was one of the Lakeshore titles. It's one of the ones that you have 3 months to show. I
know that for a while she took it back, like she reclaimed it for a few years, and you could only show it on a print and via her. And there was always the option where she'll come out and you can have the like, do you want Cassandra Peterson or do you want Elvira? It's going to cost you this much to have whatever. But I always wanted to do it at the Film Society. We just never had the chance or technically the money to do it. So
I just looked it up. It's UCLA. You guys have the good print. Yeah.
I did too. Yeah, it's in our collection.
Yeah, so that's the print that we showed. The good print.
I learned
Hook
something
it up,
new about
KJ.
collection.
KJ, hook it up.
All right. So I really wanted to include a musical. Music is a big deal for me in movies, like almost as much as what I'm actually watching is like what I'm hearing. And so I picked a classic musical, and I went with this, Footlight Parade, which I have on VHS. A friend of mine who goes to a lot of estate sales just unloaded like 300 VHS tapes. My partner and I already have like 200. Now we have more than, I mean, they're just stockpiled everywhere. It's kind of crazy. But I went with this because we just watched it recently, and it's part of this sort of unofficial pre-code Busby Berkeley trilogy that Warner Brothers put out over the course of like a year. These all came out within months of each other. It's just, I think script-wise, so much better than the other two. It's so punchy and so funny. And it also has James Cagney in his truest form, which is a song and dance man. And he's just so goofy. He has this weird like butt out way of tap dancing that's, if you've never seen him dance, like this is the movie to watch him dance in. And then the real star is Joan Blondell. She's like one of my favorite pre-code actresses who then sort of was around forever. She was in John Cassavetes' Opening Night. That was, I think, her last role. Yeah, I just love Footlight Parade so much. And if you've never seen a Busby Berkeley choreographed musical, like this and Gold Diggers of 33 and 42nd Street are all amazing. I think most of them are available streaming or rentable somewhere. This is available on various platforms for $2 to $3 to rent. So Footlight Parade.
It's also on a Criterion channel, and I just watched it. I just watched it last week also because Bret Easton Ellis talked about it for an hour and a half on his podcast.
Oh, that's annoying.
I'm one of those people though. I'll listen to Bret Easton Ellis talk about a movie that I don't know about for an hour and a half, and then I'll be like, I guess I need to watch it now.
I get it. Yeah. Well, it's good to hear it's still on Criterion because that's where we watched it. And I, when I looked it up today, it looked like it was gone, but maybe it's still around.
It was.
How they roll over every month. Anyway.
They had a series called like At the Movies or Made Movies About Movies, and it was.
Yeah.
All right, that was a good round. We ready for round 3? Is it round 3?
Round 3.
I think we're on a third. Yeah.
Yep.
I'll talk. Serious Man is my next on my list. Serious Man. It's never not a good time to watch a Coen Brothers movie or a Coen Brothers movie on repeat. And I was actually thinking about this, and I've been watching a lot of Coen Brothers films again during quarantine to kind of just reassess why I like them so much. And everybody watches lots of Coen Brothers movies, and they can be watched again and again and again and again. But it's for some reason, A Serious Man has moved up to my list, and it's officially my favorite Coen Brothers movie now. And I can watch this one literally on repeat, and I do, and I have multiple copies of it, so I can watch it in different rooms of my house if I need to. So I have that, but I don't know if it's exactly. I'm not a religious person at all, but I did grow up with some religion, so there's some of what connects in A Serious Man, and the parody of it. And the criticism of it connects with me, I think, on a level that I don't understand anymore. And also Michael Stuhlbarg. I think this is like his first big movie, and I mean the guy's like, I'll watch anything he's in at this point. But this he's on a different level in this movie, and so Coen Brothers, Serious Man on an Island. This is my one. I'll stand on an island and watch this one on repeat.
I'm definitely with you on that one in the Coen brother canon for sure.
When I mention it, when I talk, usually it's Hudsucker Proxy was my favorite, and I could watch that one on repeat. But Hudsucker Proxy was my favorite when I was like 19 or 20, and now 40-year-old me, I think, likes A Serious Man. So I think I've changed over 20 years. It took that long. So I thought maybe Barton Fink on repeat. Barton Fink only every few years. Like, you know,
All right.
right? I mean,
I think that's a great pick.
the kid that plays Michael Stuhlbarg's son in that film is from Brookline.
oh, really?
And when we played the film at the Coolidge, he came out to a screening with his family, and we have special guests, filmmakers and actors sign our projection booth door. The inside of the projection booth door is a tradition. And when we realized the kid was in the audience, we asked him to sign the booth door, and he John Hancocked the shit out of the door. He took up like a good third of the bottom portion of the door. And I don't know if he's ever done anything else, but he's the largest name in our autograph collection for sure.
One last thing I want to say about Serious Man. I wrote about this for one of the something recently on a double feature, but it goes well with a Polish film from 2015 called Demon.
Oh my God!
Which is about a Dybbuk attacking a wedding, and of course, A Serious Man starts with a parable about a Dybbuk and what that causes in the future. And both of the movies connect with me in an interesting way, and I can watch Dybbuk. The Demon goes with this, and I recommend watching Demon a lot of times also.
Have you guys seen Demon? Demon is an astonishing film.
Yeah,
An astonishing film. And we had we did a screening of that movie. I'm sorry, I'm jumping all over Barack.
No, great. No, I mean I love that. Every time I talk about Demon, no one's seen it. So I'm glad.
No, Demon is a wonderful film, absolutely a masterpiece. And that filmmaker passed away right after the film was making the festival circuit. And what I learned from a scholar that we had at the theater to talk about the movie after a screening with the National Center for Jewish Film was that the director of Demon, his father was some sort of Dybbuk exorcist.
Oh shit, I didn't know that.
And that while researching the film, they had been on site dealing with some sort of Dybbuk possession. And then before the film sees distribution, the filmmaker had passed away.
I mean, there was all sorts of articles written about that, about was he possessed by a Dybbuk in real life, but I didn't read that part of it.
Absolutely wild, and the film is masterful. So
and yeah, and he never did. And we should probably talk offline, but I didn't read. Did you see his old films before that?
I have not seen any of his other films, but it's. I mean, I need to because Demon is masterful.
It's masterful. Now, Demon is on Shudder now, I think.
Yeah.
Demon is on Shudder, Canopy, and Prime Video, and you can watch A Serious Man tonight on Netflix.
Thank you, Keith.
Thanks for that, Keith.
Yeah, all over it.
Mark, you can continue talking now.
Oh, what am I on? This is pick number 3?
Yeah.
All right, pick number 3 for me on a desert island is Blade Runner. Is Ridley Scott's Blade Runner, which features special effects that this film is from 1981? 1981. And when you watch this film, the effects in this movie hold up to today. It's gorgeous. It's mesmerizing. I love film noir. I love the fact that I love the trench coat on Harrison Ford's Rick Deckard. And the prop that I brought to do Blade Runner is I met Sean Young at this horror convention, and she signed this Blade Runner image for me. And Sean Young, I was so nervous to talk to her because, like, you know, the popular storyline about Sean Young is like, oh, she's nuts, which is bullshit. She was such a wonderful woman to speak with. And we talked about another film of hers that I really enjoyed as a kid, which was Baby, Secret of the Lost Legend, which is a movie about scientists trying to find a young brontosaurus in the Congo. And it features great creature effects. And we talked about how much I loved that movie. And she was like, well, you know, it was a bomb at the box office. And you know, how old were you when you liked it? And I was like, I was probably 5 years old. And she was like, yeah, 5-year-olds don't buy movie tickets. So that's why. That's why that film has been lost to the ages. But I encourage everyone to not only watch Blade Runner, which is a movie that again I can watch anytime that it's on. And if I were stranded on a desert island, the imagery of Blade Runner would be very comforting to me, and I would watch the film day in and day out. But if you find Baby Secret of the Lost Legend, that is also a film.
Where is that movie from, Mark? I can't find it.
Baby is available to rent along with Blade Runner, although you should have gotten your copy of Blade Runner in your detergent soap package wherever you moved into. They're both available on Vudu for a small fee.
Thank you, Keith. And when the final cut of Blade Runner was released, the Coolidge played it in our movie house too, which is our balcony had been turned into its own cinema in the 70s. It is the closest you can get to a screen in the Boston area and not have to like break your neck by looking up. We played that scope film in its re-release like for months, and I must have watched it a dozen times and never got tired of it. So Blade Runner is my number 3.
I just rewatched Tom Anderson's Los Angeles Plays Itself, which is streaming on Canopy, and Blade Runner is featured almost more than any other movie because there's so many iconic LA locations in Blade Runner. I mean, the Bradbury Building just being one of them. So yeah, the architecture in that film is amazing.
I've never been to LA, but my fandom of Blade Runner is like my number one driving force in like me needing to get out there someday.
When you come, I will take you on a Blade Runner tour of Los Angeles.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, Keith, you're up.
All right, movie number 3 for me. Walter Hill's Streets of Fire.
Whoa! Great music movie.
I can honestly say, in all the thousands of movies I've watched, probably thousands, Lord, it's thousands, in these 42 years of mine, Streets of Fire is unlike any other movie I've ever seen. I just will always say that when people talk about an inability to create a movie that is fresh and new, I just always laugh and say, no, you need to watch Streets of Fire, and then don't steal it, but like get inspired by what this film does. A movie that's kind of set in the 50s, circa 1980. It uses tropes of the old spaghetti westerns. It's got amazing music by Jim Steinman, who of course was behind Meatloaf's career and Bonnie Tyler and all those hits, and a bunch of other. Who actually put together the soundtrack of? I always should know this. Ry Cooder was the guy who really put the whole sort of soundtrack together with Jim Steinman. But Jim Steinman wrote really great original songs that bookend this movie, and I think that there is no finer. You change my mind. But there is no finer intro to a movie that is just as matched with its outro than there is in Streets of Fire. Both with a song, but both it perfectly puts the movie in one little box for you, and you're good. You know, there was a weird quasi sequel that really should never be talked about to Streets of Fire. That was all shot Sin City style on like a green screen with a really badly aged Michael Pare. And some other stuff. It didn't need to happen because everything perfect was in Streets of Fire, and it should have left everyone satisfied.
What was that sequel called? I don't remember it.
It's like Streets of Blood or something. It was like Streets of something. It was in a continuation in some essence of that.
Walter Hill directed?
No. Some rando got money together and convinced Michael Pare and Deborah von Valkenburg to reprise their roles as Tom Cody and his sister. Diane Lane is in this movie in Streets of Fire, a baby, fat-cheeked Diane Lane, not doing her own singing, but that doesn't matter because she lip syncs for her life in this goddamn film, more than most actresses that have to lip sync in a movie. Amy Madigan in one of the first I knew when I saw it, and this was one of those HBO movies that I watched like countless times because it was just always on HBO when I was a kid. Amy Madigan, I feel, plays one of the best lesbian characters in a movie that's never really addressed as a lesbian character. There's a nod at the very end of the film to what we've been thinking the whole time, but I think she definitely played that film in a way that I think is masterful. So top to bottom, Streets of Fire, a gem. And it's available to watch tonight for a small fee on Prime or Vudu.
All right. Thanks. That's one of my favorites as well. So thanks for picking that one, Keith. KJ?
So if anything is today is going to get me teased, it's going to be this one. But but this movie is just, it's so special for me, and it's Joan Micklin Silver's Crossing Delancey. So I don't know how many of you have actually seen this, but I love Joan Micklin Silver so much, from Hester Street to Between the Lines, which we just showed the new 2K restoration that Cohen Media did just, I think, let's see, like a year and a half ago. I love Chilly Scenes of Winter, which I think is getting a new Blu-ray release pretty soon. Anyway, all of her films in the 70s are just amazing. This is at the closer to the end of the 80s though. And it has, you know, what Amy Irving is this sort of 30-something who's up and coming in the publishing world, and she has a rent-controlled apartment, and she just thinks that she has everything she needs except, of course, a man. And her bubby. So I don't have a bubby. I'm not Jewish, but I'm Italian, and I have a great nana. And my great nana is exactly like the bubby in this film. She's like tiny. Everything's about food. She's very hard-nosed. She's very tough on you. And so her meddling bubby tries to matchmake her with the local pickle guy, Peter Riegert, who I have such a huge thing for Peter Riegert. I don't know what it is. Most people know him from The Mask, I think, but he's also he's in other Joan Micklin Silver films. He's in Local Hero, which I was also considering talking about for this because I love that movie. But I mean, it's 80s New York City fashions are like to die for. She has this great hat that he gives her at one point. It just gives me like this comfort of being on my Nana's couch. It's just great. I watched it when I was sick recently. And it's amazing. And this is rentable on various platforms for around $3. And the music is bad in this movie. Like, it's one irredeemable thing is that it just has the silliest, cheesiest music. And a horrible cover. Like, look at that. Amy Irving. Come on. Horrible. The worst movie poster. But yeah, super great movie. A funny movie about getting serious is its tagline. Crossing
Best
the land.
tagline ever. All right, you guys, we've got just a little over 11 minutes to get through 2 more rounds. So
Oh my God.
I know.
Gotta knock
Let's
this out.
keep it
Okay.
tight.
All right.
Okay,
Barack?
so I'll just go quick on number 4. This one probably, goes back to what I was saying about Hudsucker Proxy, which was a movie that I liked, since I started being obsessed with movies. Mean Streets, and it's a movie where before I worked in movie theaters, if it was playing anywhere repertory, I would just go and watch it every night. It was some landmark that was showing it in high school, and I think I went every night they were showing it. I was like one of those dumb kids. And it's a movie that before I got into showing movies, I was making movies, so it was one of those movies where it was very cliched to say, but pretty inspirational, and I would probably still watch it every day, although I've now started watching movies like Demon and Street Trash. So I know we're moving quick, and this one's kind of a boring cliched pick, so we'll go to the next one.
No, it's a good pick.
It's a good movie still. It still holds up. When we showed it at Texas Theater, I rented a pool table and we set it up in the lobby, and people dressed like in 70s guys, and we had a cop come and pretend to arrest us.
Wow. As an Italian guy, I fully support that pick. Wait, are we on me now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Moving
This
fast.
is number 4. Okay, so my number 4 is this is going to be controversial because I know a lot of programmers get down on people for being really into Star Wars.
Where's this going?
So my number 4 pick is Empire Strikes Back. And I've got a couple. So I've got a couple of the bounty hunters here from Empire Strikes Back, which is celebrating a 40th anniversary today. I'm such a Star Wars nut that if I were stranded on a desert island, I would need a Star Wars movie with me, in order to
You bring the toys?
Not the toys, the film.
I feel like you should bring the toys and then reenact the film with the toys.
No, I want to be able to watch the film on the desert island because that would give me like a sense of nostalgia and childhood. I know these are things that we're not supposed to aspire to as programmers because digging on Star Wars is like that's Disney, that's the enemy. Oh shit, not the enemy. I mean, I love you, Disney. Please let us play whatever you've got coming up next. But
Didn't hear you.
Empire Strikes Back is my number 4 pick. And I got a couple of action figures here because I'm.
Oh, Mark, that's awfully disappointing. Keith, you're up.
Why is this? Wait a minute.
Keith and I that's a whole nother panel as to why Keith and I hate Star Wars. So
You hate Star Wars?
yeah.
Keith.
But Keith, go on.
I'll go more into it was not my franchise as a child. Indiana Jones was.
Keith.
And Star Wars was boring as hell to me, so I just never caught on. And then I just kind of rolled my eyes as it rolled on over the years and just never jumped in. So I also haven't read nor seen any of the Harry Potter movies. So,
well, I mean, neither have I, because I'm almost 40 years old. But
all right, but this
Star
guy.
Wars. Star Wars, though, Keith.
But I'm letting you have it. I'm no longer judging people for what they see or love or don't love because it's personal to everyone. So I may just be like, that's an interesting choice, but
not me.
No,
but Keith, let's keep it rolling.
Yeah, keep it rolling. Number 3 movie, Wong Kar-wai's Chungking Express.
Beautiful.
Wong Kar-wai, an amazing director who honestly I think makes the most sentimental cinema of anyone I've really known. I dare you to watch any of his films and not feel some just like pang of longing just like everywhere from your heart to your loins to like whatever. You're just gonna that's what his movies do. Chungking Express, which stars a really great pop star named Faye Wong, who was the Madonna at the time in China. It's kind of a mini anthology in that it's about 4 different people and their own experiences with losing somebody, be it in a relationship, death, all sorts of stuff. But it all circles around a little mall food court place, and it's fantastic, very quotable for a subtitled film, and just lovely. So you can watch this on the Criterion channel tonight. You can watch Empire Strikes Back on Disney Plus. You can rent Mean Streets on Prime and Vudu. And now, KJ, what you got?
I'm freaking out a little because my next movie, hold on.
Oh my God.
Is
Play it.
In the Mood for Love. So, I mean, I'm just a little bit younger than you, and I think this movie hit for me like at the perfect moment. I was 16 when this movie came out, and I also was like of the right age where it would play. Like a professor of mine played it in a class, and so that just made it like I was able to study it in a way in my early 20s that I had with a focus that I hadn't given to so much more before it. I mean, it has an understanding of classical cinema, but still sort of like has this really distinctly contemporary aesthetic that somehow then harkens back to like the sumptuousness of Technicolor. It's just a totally gorgeous film. I mean, look at these posters. I could look at it for hours. The main theme gets stuck in my head all the time, and it's just such a nice theme to like settle into. The scene where Maggie Chung, she looks like she was built by the same architect who like built Hong Kong around her, like she looks like she's just like walking out of the walls of all of her surroundings. And yeah, this film is I don't know. I can't think of anything else that I would want to watch over and over again, or even have on in the background, or even turn off the visuals and just have the music playing. Yeah, it's a perfect movie for me. And that's available on Canopy and the Criterion Channel.
And would you say that Wong Kar-wai, one of his strengths is that it used to be the sentimentality was a very female thing that like men couldn't get into, but that his movies, it's all on the playing field, like men and women are equal in their just like inner heart.
Well, I think that's why I'm drawn. I mean, for me, like I have a hard time with war movies. I have a hard time with Westerns that focalize, male characters. And I think that I'm specifically drawn to stories that center women. And I think that he does that in such a delicate way in both Chungking and in this. And in a way that exactly like you said, like it's sort of a leveling. Yeah.
You guys probably, already we're going to play the big Wong Kar-wai retrospective, that they've obviously delayed, which is a bummer, and would have been anchored by In the Mood for Love. I heard, I don't know how long they're going to push it, but I guess they have to wait for New York to open.
I think I heard Lincoln Center is probably going to be December. So
really?
January for the rest of us.
Yeah, because we had booked we had booked 6 of them, I think. Were you guys all going to play them?
Yeah, we had the full series. We had the exclusive on it.
We weren't going to do The Hand. I don't know why. I just was like, I wasn't feeling that one.
But it'll happen. It'll happen this winter.
It will.
People can watch beautiful films in a movie theater.
We'll be open again.
It will happen. I agree. We will wait.
All right, guys, we're down to our number 1/last one. So however you guys wanted to rank them.
It's my last is American Movie, which had its 20th anniversary last year. This would go also in the category of aspiring filmmakers, movies to watch. And it was inspiring when I was trying to make movies, and still inspiring today. I rewatched it a bunch of times in the past couple of years because we showed a print of it last year at our film festival as a 20th. I reached out to everybody involved to try to get someone to show up because I really wanted someone to come and talk about it. And I got a nice email from Chris Smith saying he was too much of a big shot to address my question, but he did basically say that much. And I am somewhat friendly with Borchardt over the years for various reasons, and he basically said that he would not. He doesn't talk about the movie, and I don't know why, because watching it again, maybe it doesn't make fun of him. I don't know, maybe a little bit, maybe not, because he's really just trying to make his movie Coven, and in a lot of ways I feel like it's fairly earnest. And I've seen a lot of films that try to do American movie that have come since, and none of them do it right. All the other films on this subject, which there are now a ton of them, always do make fun of the guy, and it doesn't work. And I felt like Chris Smith and Sarah Price, the filmmakers on this, really had good intentions and really nailed it right with the filmmaker. And the film Coven, if you can find it, it's not a bad film at all, actually, kind of. The 30-minute 16mm black and white film that he was making to sell for $15 in the back of Fangoria, but if you can find it, watch Coven. And then Keith, where can you watch this besides this DVD?
You cannot right now. It is not streaming on any service.
I think it might be on iTunes. If you message me, I'll send you this DVD.
There you go.
That's
real
commitment
quick,
right there.
So I just watched Demon Lover Diary recently, and that comes pretty close to American Movie, I think.
Demon
And
Lover
also-
Diary, I don't know that film.
Yeah, it's I'll email you later about it, about where you can find it. But 2 or 3 Halloweens ago, I was Mike Schenk for Halloween,
Awesome.
and my partner at the time was Mark, and I made these for us to carry around.
Yes.
It's empty, it's not real,
That's awesome.
but again, my partner just came in clutch. I texted him to tell me to bring this.
Awesome.
$14.99.
All the movies that I'm talking about.
It's so weird.
It's a good system. I like it.
All right, Mark, what's your number
Okay,
one?
So my number one, I'm trying to share my screen, but it says host has disabled attendee screen sharing.
Yeah, I disabled that for you. I don't. Who knows what you're gonna do? Try it now.
There's children watching this.
Okay.
I don't know. I made you. I added some features to your permission.
All right.
Okay.
I'm sharing my screen. My number one desert island movie is Catherine Bigelow's Point Break. Right? Because obviously it's Catherine Bigelow's Point Break. This is a perfect film. I don't know if you guys have seen this movie.
Yes, of course.
But this is about as good as it gets for movie going. Starring Keanu Reeves and Patrick Swayze. If I were on a desert island, I would want to watch this day in and day out and try to come up with a surfboard. Last summer we did a Keanu-thon at the Coolidge Corner Theater to celebrate not only Keanu Reeves, but Point Break was our headliner. And it almost wasn't, because I had booked the Keanu-thon and Point Break. I booked a print of Point Break, but the rights holder at the time was unknown. You know, the usual suspects said, we don't have it anymore. It's no longer our film. So go ahead. And we proceeded with the Keanu-thon, and 2 days before this Keanu Reeves movie marathon, an all-night movie marathon, starting with Point Break, was to go on. We got a cease and desist letter from from a small law firm in LA who owned a catalog of movies that included Point Break. But luckily we were able to clear that up immediately, send them their payment so that Keanu-thon could continue. And we had a Keanu Reeves photo booth with a standee of Keanu and some inflatable surfboards that Coolidge staff members really dug. We had a little puppy from John Wick. So people are taking pictures with Keanu. There's me and Coolidge head projectionist Nick Lazaro taking pictures with the man of the hour. And this group came prepared in like full Hawaiian shirt garb. So this is this immediately came to the forefront as my number one desert island movie. Here's the audience getting settled for the Keanu-thon. And there are our survivors of the Keanu-thon. Those are the people that made it through all 12 hours of Keanu Reeves movies. But Point Break is the most fun I've ever had at the movie theater. And I never realized, like, until I saw it with an audience, I never realized like what a gay movie it is. Right? Like I was just like, yeah, he's trying to get his man. But when I saw it with a completely sold out house, every time Patrick Swayze and Keanu Reeves look at one another, it's obvious how much they love each other. And then it culminates in the very final scene of the film where they're trapped under a parachute together for like a little bit too long. And an audience of 400 people started giggling because these guys are struggling and grunting underneath the parachute. I never realized what a love story it was between Johnny Utah and Bodhi. But that just made me love the film even more. And I've lost my mouse and I can't click stop share. There we go.
There you go.
Did I do it?
You
Yeah,
did it.
Yes.
Oh, thank God.
Awesome story.
And Mark, you didn't pick up on that after watching Hot Fuzz?
No, I didn't. I mean, I didn't. But when I saw it with a sold, we did it for a big screen classic screening, and we sold that house out. And every time they interact, everybody was like tittering and giggling, and I was like, oh man, these guys love one another, and I thought that made the movie even more fantastic.
Have you seen her film The Loveless? Because speaking of,
I haven't, but
yeah,
I love her films, and I need to
cue that up next. Speaking of like erotic energy,
Thank you.
erotic energy, it's great.
All right, Keith.
Okay. I won't apologize for doing this for what you're about to see, for that there's two of them, but people have always asked me what's your favorite movie? And I have a standard answer, and it has yet to be moved, changed, anything in a lot of years. I've told the story a few times on various programmer story things that we've all been part of over the last few weeks. My number one desert movie, and also my number one favorite movies, Who Framed Roger Rabbit and Women on the Verge of a Nervous Breakdown.
Oh,
You
cool.
get it, boo.
Nice.
I saw both of these the same year when I was about 11 or 12. I can't exactly remember. Women on the Verge, I checked out from the library on a VHS tape, and it was the very first subtitled film I ever saw in my life. That I also was able to just understand and experience the comedy that really sits in that movie. Pedro Almodovar is my like number one guy, for many, many, many reasons, but this was his first like effort into my heart. And Who Framed Roger Rabbit, I saw in the theater, and you could not have told me at the time, and I was 11 or 12, I was old enough to understand. You could not have told me when this movie was done that cartoons did not really live with us in this universe. I was just so amazed, like just enthralled with how this movie works. And years later, when you really rewatch it and look at it, Bob Hoskins' acting in this movie, when he has to act with Lord knows how many tennis balls and sticks and everything, it's phenomenal. And just the fact that it's so interesting, so thrilling, so touching, so exciting, and it still is all these years later. So that's my number one pick.
And the effects still look fucking top notch. So
Robert
good.
Zemeckis has always been good at keeping that line. Like, I don't know, it's not necessarily future planning. He couldn't have known how special effects would gradient over the years, but I always feel his movies have maintained a level of like, okay, that's actually still holding up okay.
That's a good point, actually. No one ever talks about that. Good point.
Yeah.
All right. KJ, take us home.
Okay, I'm gonna do another screen share because I don't own this physically. But my number one pick is Milos Forman's Taking Off, which is somewhat new to me. I didn't see it when I was young. It's Milos Forman's first English language film. He made it, it's his first stateside film, and it was his follow-up to The Fireman's Ball, which I like don't connect to very much. Like, I think it's funny, I get it, but Taking Off feels like it was made for me. And I could describe the plot, but it kind of doesn't matter because it's more about like a vibe and a tone. It starts off at sort of a folk band audition or talent show, like not really sure, but it sort of serves as this like documentary portrait of young women from the early 70s. And one of those young women is Kathy Bates in her first ever on-screen appearance, and she's credited as Bobo Bates. That was her folk singer name in the early 70s. And I mean, so again, Kathy Bates is in it, but it's a little bit less about what happens. It's about teenage runaways and this like sort of influx of runaways, like teenagers fleeing the suburbs for New York City. Buck Henry, who's hilarious in everything, an amazing writer. We just lost him really recently. We also lost Milos Forman pretty recently. And I was able to see this on the big screen for the first time, thanks to a Milos Forman retrospective at the Arrow Theater, which is part of the American Cinematheque here in Los Angeles, and Grant and all the folks, Grant and Gwen and all the folks at the American Cinematheque are like my second family. I love them so much. And this movie makes me think about them and makes me think about my LA film community. And also, and again, I mean, it just feels like it was made for me. The humor is irreverent, it's sardonic, it's absurd. And again, if you're vibing with it, it just feels like it was made just for you. And it's not streaming anywhere. You can't rent it. The only way that I have been able to rewatch it is that the folks at Cinephile Video, which is just reopening this week for curbside pickup in Los Angeles, which is amazing. Like they're doing, you know, that difficult work this week. They ripped a Blu-ray for me so that I could take it home and have it forever, which was very, you know, I hope nobody hears that and then gets upset. But yeah, I love the guys at Cinephile. They're like the best video store clerks in town, maybe in the world. Yeah.
Dave Jennings on the comments is saying that he's blown away by your picks on this one, KJ.
Yay.
Woo!
Woo!
Win.
Well, what was that, Barack?
I think KJ wins.
Yeah,
that's-
probably.
yeah.
I don't think it's a contest.
Yeah. No, my picks were ignorant.
I'm disappointed in myself that I didn't pick an Almodovar movie. Like he's so high up there for me.
Yeah.
It's okay. There's the next island.
No, a favorite films conversation would be much different than what you could tolerate day in, day out.
Mhm.
So the next programmer chat panel, favorite films.
Yeah. Top 5.
Easier said than done, I suppose.
Yeah, that's
Okay, so-
that's impossible.
I know.
Very hard. It changes every day.
Yeah.
It's true. Well, I just want to thank you guys for fulfilling my dreams of talking to programmers about their desert island films. This has been
Gina, this was
fantastic.
so fun.
And thanks to everyone who's watching on YouTube, all 3 of you. Thanks for joining us. Just kidding. There's many more than that. We're gonna do this again. I think this is great.
Super
So
fun.
stay tuned to see what the next topic is gonna be, and we'll mix it up. What was that, Keith?
I was gonna say, should we do any plugins of our various things that we're doing during the pandemic for our organizations? We all have like
Yeah.
virtual cinemas or whatever. Barack?
Well, right after you stop watching this live stream, there is a live stream Q&A for a movie called The Wolf House, which you can get a link to from the texastheater.com. Is a great animated film that we're showing right now. So that's my plug. Mark, what do you got?
Yeah, check us out at Coolidge.org. We've got a virtual screening room going on with, I think, dozens of films at this point that are available for virtual screening. And yeah, thanks to everybody that's been supporting us since the closure so far. It's been almost 2 months now, but we're encouraged by the support that we've seen. So keep it up.
Here in Denver, you can go to denverfilm.org, go to our virtual cinema, see what's going on there. A lot of titles to choose from as well. If you're local in Denver, Fridays and Saturdays, come by the C Film Center. Our website tells you the hours, but we're doing snack pack pickup. You can pick up a popcorn, beer and wine and candy and get to see some of our fantastic staff that you know and love. I'm on Instagram Live via the Denver Film Instagram every Saturday at 2 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, going through my vast movie collection, letter by letter. We're at F right now. And I did a complete catalog of my movies this weekend, and I have almost 800. So that's
And
a
we're
little
on
shocking.
week 13, and he's only on F.
Yeah,
So
something like that. But yeah, if you're interested, I'm gonna start posting the previous letters on Instagram as well, just so people have an idea. KJ, what you got cooking?
Yeah, so we are in the process of putting together what will be an ongoing, beginning the week of June 15th. an ongoing virtual cinema of content from the archive. So we're kicking that off with short films from our Legacy Project collection, which is our LGBTQ collection. That's the largest moving image LGBTQ collection in the world. So we're dipping into some shorts there. We're breaking it up into 3 different programs. In July, we're going to be featuring some of our Poverty Row titles, which are all like Gower Gulch, like B movie films made in the 1930s. And then we're going to move on from there and have new content every month. We're also doing something called Safer at Home Cinema, where we're just recommending films to watch on streaming services. So we're doing that weekly, and that goes out in our newsletter. And you can find out how to sign up for the newsletter and learn more about the screening room at cinema.ucla.edu. And then otherwise, with my dear friend and collaborator, Suki Rose Samakis, we're doing something called Remote Viewing Cinema. That's on Instagram, and we're doing a double feature every day that's available on free or commonly subscribed to streaming platforms. So you can follow Remote Viewing Cinema. Today we recommended the Cecilia Condit screening that Stream Slate is doing. Stream Slate, that totally conflicted with this. Or else I would be over there watching that. It might still be going on right now. Her Q&A might be on right now on their Twitch channel. Yeah.
All right. I think that wraps it up for us. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you soon.
Thanks, everybody.